Welcome back to the TigerDen podcast. It's Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. I'm Tiger, and I'm currently looking at a half inch of standing sawdust on my workbench that I've promised myself I'd clean up since, last November.
And I'm Alex, the person who reminds Tiger that if he actually used his dust collector, he wouldn't have to excavate his chisels every morning.
Look, the dust collector makes a noise that offends my soul. Plus, I like the aesthetic. It's work in progress chic. Anyway, we've got a massive daily digest for you today. We're talking about the tail end of these unexpectedly long Prime Day sales, some heavy-hitting benchtop tools, and a build project that is basically the woodworking equivalent of a therapy session.
Is it really an unexpectedly long sale? Or did you just leave 17 tabs open on your browser and now you're trying to justify a credit card charge to your wife?
It can be two things, Alex. It can definitely be two things. But seriously, we are on day 4 of these price drops. Usually, by now, the inventory is picked clean, and you're left with nothing but weirdly shaped sanding sponges and off-brand zip ties. But the stuff that's still live right now is actually, it's the good stuff.
Like what? Because every time I look for a deal, it's like 2% off a hammer I don't need.
No, we're seeing deep cuts on parallel clamps. Ask me how I know you can never have enough clamps.
How do you know, Tiger?
Because I once tried to glue up a walnut tabletop using 3 pipe clamps, 2 bungee cords, and a very heavy stack of encyclopedias. It went about as well as you'd expect. One of the encyclopedias is now permanently fused to the underside of that table. If you want to know about the history of the Roman Empire, you have to crawl under my dining room table.
That explains a lot about your home decor. So, clamps are on the list. What else?
Parallel clamps, digital protractors, which honestly, if you're still trying to read a blurry etch scale on a miter saw, just stop, and high-quality router bits. But the real meat is in the benchtop gear. The Jet 12-inch drill press is sitting at $512 right now.
Wait, hold on. $500 for a benchtop? That sounds like a lot for something that takes up space on the counter.
Here's the thing. Nobody tells you about cheap drill presses. The wobble. You buy a bargain bin drill press, and your 1/4 inch hole suddenly looks like a 5/16 inch oval because the spindle has more play than a golden retriever. The Jet is a buy-it-once tool. It's precision. It's heavy. It doesn't migrate across the bench when you turn it on.
Okay, fair. I'll grant you the precision. But what about the folks in a tiny garage? You know, the people who have to move their car out just to change a light bulb?
That's where the Works Pegasus comes in. It's $109 right now. It's a folding work table that doubles as a sawhorse. I used to be a snob about plastic folding tables until I had to do a job on site where I didn't have my 400-pound maple workbench. It's surprisingly sturdy. Plus, it folds flat enough to slide behind a water heater.
I've seen that one. It looks like a transformer that gave up on fighting crime and decided to help with DIY home renovations.
Exactly. And for the classic shop staple, the Bosch 10-inch table saw is still the gold standard for portability. If you're building a deck, or even just doing some fine furniture in a small space, that fence system is the only one in its class that actually stays square.
Speaking of staying square, let's talk about the 2026 releases. You mentioned some new stuff from the big brands. Is the cordless revolution finally getting to the point where it's actually useful, or are we still just paying for expensive batteries?
It's officially here. The new Milwaukee high torque stuff is scary. It has more power than my first truck. But the surprise of the year? Harbor Freight's Hercules line.
Oh, here we go. Tiger is defending Harbor Freight again.
Listen, 2010. Tiger would have laughed too, but their new cordless efficiency is legitimate. They're bridging that gap where you don't feel like you're buying a disposable tool anymore. Also, Ryobi has an updated hobby station coming out. Perfect for the folks doing the small scale stuff, electronics, model making, or very small wood carvings of things like, tiny cats?
You would carve a tiny cat.
I might. Don't judge my process.
All right, let's pivot. You sent me a video this morning from Maker Channel. It was an end grain cutting board build. I watched it, and I have to say, it was extremely satisfying, but it also looked like a nightmare of math and glue.
It's the ultimate Zen project. If you've never seen an end grain board being made, picture this. You take perfectly good strips of wood, glue them together, then this is the part that hurts. You cut them all across the grain into new strips, flip them 90 degrees, and glue them back together again.
Why? Why would you do that to yourself? Just buy a board, Tiger.
Just buy a board. You're killing me, Alex. Here's the thing. End grain isn't just for looks. When you cut on a normal board, you're slicing across the wood fibers, which kills your knife edge and leaves scars in the wood. On an end grain board, the knife blade actually slides between the fibers. It's self-healing.
Like a high-end dartboard.
Exactly. And the magic moment in that video, when he pours the mineral oil on at the end.
Okay, I'll admit, I gasped a little. It goes from looking like a dusty grid of nothing to this deep 3D geometric masterpiece. It's like the wood suddenly turns on a light bulb from the inside.
It's the closest thing we have to actual sorcery in the shop. But let's talk about the reality. This is where most people mess up, myself included. Ask me how I know about the great explosion of 2019.
Was this the cutting board that became a projectile?
It was. I was batching my cuts. I was feeling cocky. I didn't use a stop block on my miter saw. I thought, I can just eyeball these 2-inch segments.
Spoiler alert, he could not.
I could not. When you're doing end grain, if your pieces are even a 32nd of an inch off, that error compounds. By the time you get to the end of the glue up, your square board looks like a parallelogram that's given up on life. I tried to force it with clamps, the wood couldn't take the tension, and bang. A walnut chunk flew past my ear and embedded itself in the drywall.
And that is why we have the TigerDen practical tip of the day. Batch your cuts.
Please, for the love of your drywall and your sanity, use a stop block. Clamp a scrap piece of wood to your fence so every single segment is the exact same length. Don't measure each one. Measuring is where the human error sneaks in. Just set the stop, butt the wood against it, and cut. 10 times, 20 times. They'll all be identical.
And your second tip was about checking for square, which seems obvious, but I'm guessing people skip it.
Everyone skips it. You're so stressed about the glue drying that you just throw the clamps on and walk away. But here's the trick. Measure from corner to corner diagonally. If the X measurements are the same, you're square. If they aren't, give the clamps a little tweak on one side to pull it back into alignment. Do it before the glue sets, or you'll spend 4 hours at the drum sander trying to fix a wiggle that shouldn't be there.
Drum sander. That's another buy-it-once tool you're going to try to talk me into, isn't it?
Give it 6 months. You'll be begging for one once you realize how much you hate hand sanding end grain. It's like trying to sand a brick.
So, overall, what's the takeaway for today? Since we're seeing all these tools on sale and these big projects popping up.
Honestly, the takeaway is that precision doesn't have to be expensive, but it does have to be intentional. Whether you're buying a $500 jet drill press or just making a $0 stop block out of a piece of scrap wood, the goal is the same, taking the guesswork out of the craft.
Because guesswork leads to history of the Roman Empire, dining tables.
Exactly. Don't be like me. Be better than me.
Well, that's a pretty low bar, but we'll take it. If you're listening and you've got a project on the bench, maybe you're brave enough to try an end grain board after this, we want to see it. Head over to the TigerDen community forum. Post your oops moments and your magic oil moments.
Especially the oops moments. They make me feel better about the hole in my drywall.
Tomorrow, we're diving into some metalworking basics for the woodworkers who are metal curious. Any arnino is tasanir amarsani. Tiger is going to explain why he's afraid of welders.
I'm not afraid of them. I just have a healthy respect for artificial lightning that can melt my shoes.
Stay dusty, guys.
Stay safe. We'll see you in the shop.